Hey there, good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm so glad that you're going to be joining me this evening for a brief moment, just a brief moment. I have been working on a project and decided that I was going to take a moment and see if I can express the pieces as they come together, what I'm seeing. Okay, and see whether or not you see anything that's very similar, or maybe you don't see what's similar. But either way, I would love to have your input on this. Good evening, everyone. This is the evening drive home with NJ Evans, and I am NJ Evans. And our topic this evening is the same thing that we've been speaking of a couple of times now, and that is dyslexia. Now, the reason why I'm saying it like that is because I saw something today after perusing quite a few podcasts concerning AI and some other things. There's some authors and podcasters out there that I find fascinating. Do forgive the guy that's walking, rather riding down the street in his car. He has to share his sound. Well, anyway, that's part of being in the urban city, right? Anyway, what I found out was there appears these particular gentlemen that I was listening to, they went outside the box. They spoke about various things that are taking place at this time, and in my mind, they wasn't they wasn't speaking about what you and I are talking about. They were on a whole nother plane. But I could see the connection between dyslexia and thinking outside the box and where everybody is at this particular moment in time. Now, let's back up a little bit. So, we have young people who are attending school. Well, they were attending school. Now they're not attending school. Now, initially, I was going to have this conversation with you because I wanted to address something. This is not the first time in our history that the parents are responsible for the children to be educated. So a lot of homeschooling is going on, and it was an automatic for some, and it was begrudgingly for others. And then let's do it like this. I overheard a conversation today on the phone, believe it or not. Somebody didn't realize that their microphone was on. And she was complaining about the fact that she had to take care of her two kids while working full time. So what that said to me was there are two children that are in the house who are probably school age, and they probably want to run havoc over their mother because she's probably in another room and she has to be online and her microphone is hot. But even she didn't realize that her mic was on. Hmm. But I just hung up. I didn't want to pursue that any further. But it did say to me, that's where we are right now. There are parents who are struggling and having a hard time adjusting because their children are home. But that was the way it was at one time. There was a period of time where the responsibility of the education of the children belonged to the parents. And the school was only supposed to enhance whatever the parents was providing. And in some locations, they weren't enhancing, they was actually doing more teaching. So back to where we are right now. My conversation with you was because I wanted to sit down and share with you. I have a clipping, and this clipping was talking about all the fascinating things that are happening at this time. And when I say fascinating, I'm making reference to the educational system. Schools that are being closed, and I guess I don't know, I have two feelings about why the schools are being closed, but I'll keep those to myself for the moment. But they're also noticing that a lot of these schools that are being closed in disenfranchised communities, be it brown or black. So I thought that that was interesting. So everybody's noticing that these are uh, historically disadvantaged communities, in quotation marks. And yet we're going forward with this. And we're taking it on a level of, well, it might be because we're part of the LGBTQ plus community. We're one of those students there. Or the funding in our school, is not, well, we already heard that the funding for the public school system was going to be moved over to a place where it might be needed more, which was the private schools, of course. So in my day, that would be more like a Montessori school. But I'm quite sure that they have that equivalent now. So they talked about 95% of the students with disabilities attend public schools, which depends on the Department of Education for oversight and resources. Hence, they feel that there's a wrecking ball to the public schools that is taking place. So this particular newspaper that I'm reading from is called the Arizona Informant. The date is March the 12th, and it's called The Future of Education. And this young lady did a very nice piece. Well, I think it's a female. I don't know. I had a friend whose name was the same. Anyhow, the name is Stacy M. Brown, NNPA. But I like the article itself. It really, if you didn't know anything about what was taking place in terms of the future of our education recently, you do now. And especially after all the things that are happening on a grander scale. But when you look at that and you come back around and you watch these or listen to some of these podcasts that I'm making mention of, you say, wow, where are we going? So, my intention to speak about education and the disruption taking place across the country is where I wanted to be tonight. The agenda about education for who we are and where we are, and those that are being trained in a particular skill. Because if you really look at it, where are we? We're no longer in the Industrial Revolution. We're no longer in the information revolution. We're no longer in the digital revolution. We're in AI, right? Okay, so if we're in AI, do you know what AGI means? Let me give you Google's definition. Let me see, I have it here. A type of artificial intelligence that can be understood, learned, and perform any intellectual task that a human can. Okay? That a human can. I think this is where the hair on certain people's neck goes up. It aims to replace the human cognitive abilities across a wide range of tasks, unlike narrow AI, which is limited to specific functions. Okay, so what does all of that mean? Well, everybody's talking about how AI is going to do this and AI is going to do that, but when you really look at it, it's more than just AI, it's AGI. That's the one that's going to do this and it's going to do that, that is going to put everybody in peril. That's the reason why some people feel that, oh my gosh, where do we go from here? And the reason why I wanted to just meet with you this evening was to say to you, where do we go from here? All right, you still have an opportunity. And all of these people are saying it. You still have an opportunity to get an idea of how to work the AI, learn the fundamentals of it, at least get yourself positioned so that you know what you're doing. The group that's going to know how to do this really like that is going to be your children and your grandchildren or your great grandchildren, because this is their era, this is their time. They came here with the knowledge and the information and the desire to go tech, and the kind of tech that they're fascinated with is really falling under AI. All you have to do is have a conversation with them. All right. So I'm thinking, how do you not lose control when you get involved with AI or AGI? Do you need to have any kind of control? What are the parameters? What is the guidance? What is the direction? Who is sharing the information? Now, we have a lot of things that are coming at us all at one time, but we still got to go forward. You still have to go do your dream. You still have to meet the responsibilities of why you are here on this planet at this particular point in time. And so do I. We all have that as a responsibility. And we definitely have that as a responsibility to assist those who are much, much younger, who came in during this particular period of time. This is my theory. Came in to pick up from where we left off, meaning that we are supposed to have enough information about the AI and everything else that is going on at this particular point in time. Everything else that's going on at this particular point in time. And assist them to see how to navigate it, to use the roadmaps. So, parents, I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 14. This is your responsibility to get this child online, as they would say, which means that you're going to have to open them up and let them know, yeah, you can sit there and watch that computer, but you better learn something about that computer. And mothers should not, and parents should not allow the child to be, what do you say, a child, and the computer become the babysitter. That's not too good either. There's a whole lot of stuff that's going on here that is on a higher level and a lower level. But it's up to you to begin the process of at least venturing into it, learning something. This meeting that I told you I was going to have, this webinar, I'm really having an interesting conversation with a couple of people because I really want them to participate in this. So here's my question to you. Do you think I should go at this from a place of, well, let's have a, like what in the news, I'm from the news department side of the fence. All right, so talking heads where I have a conversation, you answer, you have a conversation, I answer, we go back and forth like that. Or do you want to do this as a thing where there's more like about 3 people, sort of like a round table? Everybody has their own thoughts, but we have a specific agenda, because that's the direction that I'm going in, because I really want you to be able to understand this is an important time. And you got to catch this, because when they talk about 2025, that's this year. When these guys were talking today on this podcast, and I'll give you that information in the description, they were talking about not 10 years from now, just a couple of years from now, maybe 3 years. One guy said 1,000 days. How would you break down 1,000 days? You know how many years 1,000 days is? And he says, by that point in time, if you're not in this race, if you haven't figured out how to do AI on some capacity, and don't get lost. And when I say don't get lost, don't get lost. Don't lose your soul. Don't get lost. All right? So you're going to have to find a way to strike that balance. It's about surviving, but it's about creating that reality. There's a lot of people who have different concepts about this. And you need to just investigate. I'm not saying to believe everybody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying investigate, get some information together, get the pros and the cons of whatever it is that you want to do. It would behoove me to go to school at this stage of the game, and this is no reflection on anybody who has done this, and go after a English degree or unless you have an objective, which is maybe to be a writer or something like this, or your job, if there's a job available, all right, would be more like a secretary, a press secretary, or something along those lines. Your English or your history, you got to go over to tech. You have to go to technology. And on top of that, you can't go to Microsoft 360. You have to get really into technology, you know, A plus, A plus. Oh man, all of them. I can't even remember all of them now. But anyway, cybersecurity, all of that, you know. What I wanted to share with you though is this. Make a choice. Sit down. Have a conversation with yourself first. What are your skill sets? Where do you fit into this thing? Are you a marketer? Are you an author? You have some ideas. You want to share your ideas with the public. Can you help your next door neighbor understand where they are and remove the fear of all of this? Somebody has to start removing the fear so that you can step forward into the light. At least that's my philosophy. So I'm not going to belabor this conversation, but I will say this. A lot of people are looking for scholarships, and a lot of people are really talking about what is and what is not happening at this time. All right, so diversity is out the window, and there are a lot of different points on that. That's not our discussion. To me, that's a sidebar. And the only reason why I say that's a sidebar, because no matter which way we pull that out, no matter which way we look at that, it depends on us how it's going to impact us. Because remember, we had segregation before. All right? So let's not freak out. Let's rise up. Because if you wasn't supposed to be on this planet at this particular point in time, you wouldn't be here. So if you're here, that means you came here to do something, to help someone, to help society, to help us move forward, and to help us to face the real future. Nobody knows what's getting ready to happen. Now, remember something else that I shared with you before. This is also a spiritual thing that is happening at the same time. Line yourself up. Remember who you are. Go within yourself. Go within yourself and do your prayers, do your meditations, center yourself. Look in the mirror and tell yourself that you believe in yourself, and you better believe in yourself because you're going to be tested. But I believe in you. My name is NJ Evans. This is the evening drive home. My intention is to just give you a thought. But what I would like from you, though, is to let me know, how do you feel about my idea concerning this webinar that I want to do? I was thinking, like I said before, I don't really want to do it as a talking head. What I like to do is have a group, have a circle of people. And this first event is going to be dealing with dyslexia. How do you get the person to understand that it's a gift? And if you really use that gift, you'll be all right. So remember to create the reality that you truly do desire, not one that you don't. Be careful. Watch what you focus on. Because right now, times are really interesting. Everything is happening quite quickly. And expand your mind. Take a look at different things. Be motivated and go forward. I'm NJ Evans. Enjoy the evening. Talk to you again soon. Ciao.